welcome back to the channel, you guys. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Before we get too far, I want to remind you all to hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're dropping videos every week. Want to make sure you guys don't miss anything. But today, we're going to talk about pistol optics, and very specifically one that I think goes under the radar and is very undervalued for what it is and what it brings to us as the end users. And guys, it's 2025. Who are we kidding? Everybody is running dots. Guns like this is one of my M&P pistols. This iron sights, it's a way of the past, old man. The future is now. Not that you can't be serviceable with some iron sights, not that you can't be effective with iron sights, especially if you have like a nice high-vis front. I like a blacked out rear personally, but red dots, it's kind of where we're at today. And we're going to talk a little bit about what I've been running, what I'm moving to, and what I think may be the best kept secret on the market. If you're looking for a pistol dot, let's dive into it. So it's no secret right now that the market is flooded with a variety of great options if you're looking to put a electronic optic or a red dot on your pistol. Companies like Aimpoint, Trijicon, even Leupold, yes, Holosun, they all have a great number of offerings out there, some better than others, admittedly, some doing much better than others. You know, we look at some of the legacy options out there like the Trijicon RMR and the Delta Point Pro from Leupold, and those are still fantastic options, and they are decades old. I think the RMR was introduced in 2009, still a great choice, albeit does have some drawbacks, does have some things that I personally think are a little bit less desirable when you're evaluating kind of the feature set and what you're getting for your money out of pistol optics. But when we do look at the ability to perform on demand, if you will, with pistol optics, or pistols in general, I should say, having an optic rather than a set of irons, there's no contest. It is much easier and much faster to teach somebody who is a new shooter or perhaps a less proficient shooter how to be effective by handing them something with a red dot rather than trying to teach them how to quickly, efficiently, and consistently line up those iron sights to get that good picture, break that trigger, and then put rounds on target effectively. The introduction of the red dot sight has revolutionized handgun shooting, and now it's far more common to see an optic on a handgun than to not. So we're going to talk about a little bit what I've been running for the past 15 months. This is the Lead Steel PB3 Pandora on my Glock 45 here. Now, if you guys have seen other videos, you know that this isn't anything new. So Lead Steel sent this out to me last year, mounted it up. It does run on an Acro footprint, and she kind of chonky, but that was okay. I wanted a enclosed emitter. For those of you not in the know, right, an enclosed emitter means that everything is encapsulated by glass and by the machined housing here. So on something that's an open emitter, maybe like a Holosun 507 or an RMR or a Delta Point Pro, the emitter is not enclosed, and a lot of people seem to have the opinion that you can have things like dirt, debris, pocket lint. They can cake up and block, the emitter. They can block the glass and things, and that certainly is true if you're in those austere environments, which is where the enclosed emitter really became popular and started to shine with the introduction of optics like the Aimpoint Acro and I'll say some of the Holosun offerings, right? So like the 509T, which I do happen to like. But really was interested when I learned that a company down in Ohio, Lead Steel, released their first rifle optic, the LP1, which we have a video on, and I'll put that link in the description as well. But then that they were releasing the Pandora, the PB3, the Pandora's box, if you will, an enclosed emitter, mailbox, red dot, and got my hands on one, and I've loved this thing so far. So in the 15 months I've been running it, I have not had to change a battery on this. The battery life has been fantastic. That might be a lie. I might have changed it once in a year just for my own druthers as I'm thinking about that. But this has been through multiple range days. It's been through 3 or 4 different classes, night vision and CQB and things like that. I've had no issues, no loss of zero, has not come loose from the mounting plate. which you can also get through the Lead Steel website. I believe this one's from Apex, is the particular plate. And it's been fantastic. It's been outstanding. Really, really good tactile controls on the top. The window, and that's why a lot of people, when this came out, seemed, and I hate when we throw around like insert legacy optic and then killer. Like, oh, this is the Acro killer. Now, I think the Acro killer is the Acro itself because it's just had a lot of issues. You get a lot of RMAs on that unit for broken glass and busted seals and things like that. Still a good optic, and Aimpoint does great with the customer service, certainly. But I will be honest with you guys, I've not seen much negative feedback on Lead and Steel. I know that there's a couple gun tubers out there that are not fans of Lead and Steel for a variety of reasons, which I'm not getting into because I really don't care enough to get the minutia of the detail. This was sent to me for free. I have had Ahmad on the podcast. I like Ahmad. I consider him a friend, and I think they make a quality product. But talking about the optic here, the PB3, the window size on this optic is actually supposed to be about 30% larger than the Acro, which to me, I go, well, that's really interesting, you know, because the Acro was regarded as this large optic at the time. And the window was actually not that much larger, if any larger, than the RMR. So you think, hey, we got this large optic body. Why don't we have a larger window? That's where the guys at Lead and Steel came in with the first edition. Like I said, it's been absolutely great for me. And the only negative feedback I've really seemed to get from people is that it's kind of ugly. And I started looking at it and I go, yeah, you know, I kind of get that. You know, this the first the iteration here, this is machined in Hong Kong and then assembled and QC'd here in America. And a lot of people didn't like that. But as a startup company, they're doing the right things. They're trying to, you know, extend the life of the company, focus on longevity, save money where they could with the startup phase. Get the machining done where it's affordable in Hong Kong, come here in America, put it all together, quality control, warranty, customer service, everything. It's an American company, like I said, just a couple hours south of me in Ohio. And then I found out they were releasing a Gen 2. This is the Gen 2 PB3 Pandora from Lead and Steel. At the time I'm making this, guys, actually it just got delivered this morning. Outstanding, really, really excited. What you do get here on the box, this is not fancy packaging. Some of these other optics, they give you like a weird Chinese pelican case type thing. I know Trijicon does that, Neotech does that, and that's sick because then you can use those boxes for things like, I don't know, collecting all of your spare Allen keys or hex wrenches, whatever. But this is just a cardboard box, albeit a durable one. It says right on the front here, made out of 7075 aluminum. Talks about a 30,000 hour battery life and then Acro P2 footprint. So just high level information, what's going to help you understand a little bit more about this optic. You look on the side here, it talks about unmatched clarity, 30% larger view window than leading competitors. I do believe that is referencing the Acro. RMR and MOS compatible when paired with the patent pending Ghost adapter plate that's sold separately. So what that means is if you have an MOS gun like my Glock 45, you can get an adapter plate like I have to mount this to an Acro footprint. Or if you have a slide that is cut to an RMR footprint specifically, because a lot of people do, the RMR footprint was very popular and there's a lot of options on the market that fit that footprint, both from Trijicon and from other companies. You can get the Ghost adapter plate that allow you to mount this to that RMR cut, which actually opens up the discussion for a lot of people. I think it's a really, really cool idea. Variable brightness, you got 7 daylight settings and 3 night vision settings, which is nice, so 10 total. And gasket sealing plates, added glass security under impact and recoil. Like I said, I've not had any issues with mine, but it's nice that they call that kind of stuff out. So got a little foam layer here just for protection. Get rid of that. We got a user's manual here. There's your PB3 Pandora user's manual. And I know as men, we really like to not read these, but one thing I will make sure to mention is when you guys are mounting this stuff up, look for your torque specs and then mark them with a paint pen. Don't be dumb and then wonder why your stuff came loose because you didn't torque it properly and you didn't mark it with witness marks, all right? Don't do that. Now here in the box, you have this nice like foam insert going on. If I can get the battery out, it does come with a battery, obviously, shoved in here if I can get a hold of it. It does also come with a variety of, you can see here, little hex tools. So for your installation needs, they send the tools to you, which I know we have a bunch of them banging around on our workbenches, but it's always nice to have the one you need so you don't have to go digging around for it and do like the 20 round trial and error process to figure out which one fits on this friggin' optic. Jeez. Okay, had to use some freaking pliers to get this battery out. It is stuck in there, but they do send a battery. It's not gonna rattle around, nothing's gonna happen to it. Don't eat it, I guess. There's like a child safety warning on here. Don't eat the battery, kids. And then we got the little silica packet to seal in the freshness. And then we have our optic itself, the PB3. So when we look at this, and we can take it comparatively here to the Gen 1, okay, similar height. Now granted, it's probably gonna still a bit lower because I got it on the front of the slide, but similar height and dimensions here, just a little bit smoother aesthetic, if you will. Not as much of a forward slant on the front of the optic housing. That was something that personally I always thought looked a little bit weird, so I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I understand why they did it. The controls are still on the top. They did do some lightning, you know, with this. Oops, got it backwards here. They did some lightning cuts towards the front. Your windage and elevation are still on the top and on the side there, high and tight. You do have an identification matrix on the side. So again, they added this on the Gen 2 for the LP1 as well. And this is great if you're an armorer, if your department or your agency or your team has multiple units and you need to keep track of which one is which. Instead of trying to find some random place on the bottom of the body or the optic or something, you can mark the unit itself. And that way, if you want to keep it together as a package, hey, pistol 12 has an issue, you can mark the optic. That way you don't have to take everything apart to figure out which pistol is number 12. You have it marked there, just a small thing that I think is nice. They do have some lightning cuts on the bottom. But overall, I think the aesthetic is the big change here. The controls on the top, still very tactile. You guys kind of hear me, you hear that? Which is nice. I hate mushy controls. They're one of my many gripes about companies making optics where they don't really consider stuff like that because it's kind of common sense. Okay, let's go ahead and take our tool out here for a second. And I'm just going to check. This hasn't obviously been zeroed, so I really don't care yet. I just want to see what the turrets, how tactile the adjustments are. And I'll see you guys can hear it. Pretty good. I love that. I love that. No mush anywhere. It's fantastic. One of my big gripes with a lot of companies out there in the market is that they will put out these optics and you can't hardly feel the adjustments as you're trying to, zero your red dot. I'm looking at you guys, Vortex. Now I haven't tried the new one, but the one I have is not good. This is fantastic for the adjustments. We're gonna go ahead, we're going to jump into the install phase and get this on the Glock 45. Okay, so first order of business here, we gotta go ahead and take off the Gen 1 PB3. You guys can see here on the witness marks that, sorry, it's gonna focus in there. It hasn't shifted. And like I said, it's been about 15 months. So that is good to see. They use a T10, I believe. It's a Torx screw, which I don't know why some companies don't use Torx anymore, or they don't use them yet, I should say. I don't know why. It's such a simple thing. So we get go ahead and get our T10 bit here. Go ahead and put that together. Go ahead and get this taken off. So unscrew it. Doesn't take much. There we go. And you can see here, no problems, no issues. Now, a good thing to do when you have this apart is to go ahead, and I did not witness mark this, so I'm going to witness mark this before we reinstall. But I did go ahead and look up the apex plate, and they recommend that you torque this down to 15 inch-pounds of torque with a T10. So go ahead and yep, that is the right size there. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get out our fat wrench here, and we're gonna set it to 15 inch-pounds. I think in the last video I talked about torque, I said foot-pounds a whole bunch. We'll turn this down right about there. It's about, there we go, about 15 inch-pounds here. And the goal is just to make sure that this is still torqued. The only issue I've ever heard with this setup, not from me personally, but from a couple of friends, was the plate itself coming untorqued. And that's because I think the original generation of the Apex plates came with hex head screws, so you weren't able to torque them down as well as these Torx tips. Now, I used a different set of screws I already had for a different plate, and it worked, and I have not had any problems at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave these in here. I'm just going to make sure that our torque is still in spec. Yep, and there we go. Yep, so we're still good, but I'm gonna correct my earlier issue and go ahead and get my paint pen out, and we're gonna go ahead and mark it. Okay, so all we need to do for this is just put a little line across the screw head and onto the plate itself. Good, good. Okay, nothing fancy, but now we'll know next time we take this apart if anything has shifted or moved. We're going to keep this paint pen out here because we're going to need it when we go ahead to install our new Optic. So now, here we go. We got the PB3 rip-roaring ready to go. Really, really exciting stuff. And this just fits on the same mounting plate here, like so. And when you set it in there, you can feel it's going to wiggle. You have to kind of just hold it in place there so you can get some torque and tension on it. So let's go ahead. What I like to do, I'm going to pop this out of my Torx screwdriver, get it into my regular screwdriver just because I think it's easier to work with. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this tightened down. And I like to apply some forward pressure to the Optic while I'm doing this because you don't want it to be too far back on the plate. And we get some good pressure and tension on that, so it's not going anywhere, right? So now what we need to do is go to our Torx screwdriver, our fat boy here, and I looked up in the owner's manual as well as online the torque recommendations, which is a maximum of 25 inch-pounds. So what I'm going to do is not go to the maximum. I'm going to go just under that, and we should be okay. Right. We're about, I would say that's about 21 or 22. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's good. And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna witness mark this. Get some witness mark on there. Cool. So actually, let's go all the way across the screws so we can see a little bit better because these screws are not large. Now we are in good shape. If we look at these side by side here, you can see they're about the same. Not a whole ton of difference there, not a big increase in size, mostly aesthetic. Looking good though. Really, really excited for this. There we go. We got this all mounted back up on the slide here. Does aesthetically look, I think, a little bit better, more in line. I don't like to compare optics necessarily, but I think what the market was really after with something like this was more of that acro design, more of that sleek, smooth body. And I think they really captured that with this while still maintaining their own identity and image. I do have Safariland 6354 here, which we did a video on a while back when I first got the PB3. We did heat this up to make sure that it would fit, and we still get that good lockup here. No issues at all whatsoever. Still fits, still good. This is clear, by the way. I don't know if I ever went over that, but I know some of you internet safety Nazis will get really upset if we don't say it's clear and then do a check. I did go back and I did re-witness mark this with blue because I untorqued it and then retorqued it just for my own druthers. But really, really cool. Like the housing, like how it all looks and everything. Now let's take a look at one more holster and make sure that we still have good fitment. Okay, so here is the US duty gear holster. They did send this out to me a while ago. It's been in a bunch of video, you guys know this. PB3, and there we go. No problems with that, no issues with that. Really good lockup, same as usual. Okay, there we go. Shout out to US Duty Gear. They make a damn fine holster, you guys. Like, I know a lot of you guys love Safariland, but if you're looking for an alternative, US Duty Gear does a really good job. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this optic. One of the changes, one of the enhancements to this that the Gen 1 did not have is the multi-reticle option, which is the same technology that's in their LP1. So you can do the 64 MOA ring, I think that's what it is anyways, that bullseye style reticle. You can do just the center dot, and then you can also do just that outer ring, which I'm not a huge fan of personally. So you press both buttons, and that's, oops. Okay, so don't do it like me. There we go. And it blinks over to the single red dot, which is, I believe it's a 3 MOA dot, very crisp, which is one of the things I really liked about the Lead Steel optics. Now, one thing I will say, worth mentioning about the mounting process, and it might just be unique to me because I was trying to film for you guys while doing it, make sure you press in and get a good seat with your T10 Torx bit. I may have stripped this a little bit. It's still tightened. I was still able to use my my Torx screwdriver on it and everything. Just make sure that you're not coming in at an angle, you're going straight on, good pressure to make sure those teeth really grab. Again, I was able to get it to click and torque down to the 22 inch-pounds. Again, 25 is what they said was the maximum for this optic. So keep that in mind when you're setting everything up. We are witness marked here on the side. Should be good to go. I might hit with just a little bit of sandpaper there just to smooth that out, or it might do it on its own. I don't know. But again, we're witness marked. Do that stuff, you guys. It's good. But yeah, I think this optic is fantastic. I think a lot of people sleep on it because maybe of some unnecessary and unsavory internet drama. Again, nothing I want to get into because I never really spent the time digging into it too much, but this optic is entirely US made, entirely US assembled and QC'd. It's really, really awesome to see a company start up and launch into a space that's dominated by some pretty heavy hitters, companies like EOTech, Trijicon, Leopold, Aimpoint, right? And really, I think, make a good presentation and a good name for themselves. It's still an affordable price point. I believe, last I checked, these are going for around $400, which is still more affordable than an Acro, while being in line with other quality, duty-rated optics. And I should just say optic because this is not just a pistol dot. I've seen several people, just like Jason and Will with Orion Training Group. They do run these on rifles, both the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 that I'm aware of, and they're outstanding. They've had absolutely no issues with them, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot of time under this, you guys. I'll include the link to the website for Lead & Steel. Big thanks to those guys for sending this out to me. They did send me a second one, so I'll figure out what to do with the Gen 1 and the green version of this, because they do multiple colors, which is nice. Some companies don't do that, or they only do flat, dark earth, and black because that's all the military contract needs. But we, as consumers, we have a refined taste, so they do fun colors. I know they do green. They've done flat, dark earth. They do black. I think there's been other fun colors out there too. But check this out. It's the PB3. This is the Gen 2 from Lead & Steel. I'm loving this thing so far, and definitely going to be more to come on this in the future, you guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We'll catch you on the next one.